1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 this time. And thanks for putting up with me this semester and doing this silliness. Friends and colleagues, I'm here today to present something that is near and dear to my heart and probably near and dear to my colleagues' hearts as well. I'm going to speak a little bit about my opinion that history should not be rewritten for political correctness, and teaching politically correct or revisionist history is actually pretty harmful. History is a series of events that could not and should not be altered. Author and journalist George Orwell once said, "The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history." So why is George Orwell's quote important now? Because currently there's a movement to archive political correctness in our country by erasing all references to certain events in American history that are deemed offensive by certain groups of people. This is simply wrong. And to do this would cause the human race to suffer greatly as a result of rewriting history simply to appease one group of people or another. Because my opinion is, if that's done, who's to say where it ends? So today I'd like to impress upon you why history should never be changed or rewritten. First, let me just state the obvious. Academic history, for the most part, is factual information. It happened. These events took place. There's no changing that. We must accept all history, whether it has positive or negative connotations. For example, as Americans, we've simply got to accept the fact that the treatment of Native Americans was not good. We've got to accept that just as much as we accept the fact that our founding fathers' brave and wise vision created this wonderful country that we call America. We are a sum of our parts, so we've got to take the good with the bad. Secondly, we've got to stop the guilt trips. Stop the guilt trips. Negative history does not erase of people make. We don't consider the German people that live in Germany today to be Nazis any more than we surmise that the Japanese Americans and the people in Japan are the same people that organized an attack on Pearl Harbor back during World War II. If we think along those lines and we're doing revisionist history and erasing things, that would mean we'd have to erase World War II history. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to do that to our greatest generation. So let me go on to explain who exactly will suffer from this revisionist history. Correctly interpreting historical events honors our ancestors. Altering history, in my opinion, is a disservice. But who is it a disservice to? Well, firstly, it's a disservice to historians and historical researchers. Reputable history books are mostly comprised of years of painstaking research, facts that are validated, primary resources that are cited, and witnesses that are all vetted. Revising history, to me, just dismisses all that hard work that was done by the people before us. It disservices our military. From the Revolutionary War through our current Middle East conflicts, the brave men and women of our military fought and died for their country. Even the Civil War, which has been at the forefront of recent attempts to rewrite or even erase certain parts of history, those young Southern men were asked by their country to fight for the Confederate Army, and they heeded that call without question. Their gallantry, in my opinion, deserves to be remembered. And I'd just like to throw in a little interesting note for people that might not share my opinion. Confederate veterans are considered full military veterans. They received the same benefits as any other U.S. soldier. They were allowed to later apply and receive pension. So if we're going along this path of thinking that some people have, Does that mean that we find their descendants and sue them to get the money back? What I'm trying to say is, once you start down the slippery slope of this idea, where does it end and where does it take you? Then lastly, students suffer because of this. George Santayana wrote in his book, The Life of Reason, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Winston Churchill sort of flipped it up a little bit and changed it, but it's a darn good quote. The American Historical Association rightly states that there's no single truth about past events and their meaning. But that does not give us the right to just simply pretend that certain things never happen simply because they make us feel uncomfortable. So as hard as it is to look back at some of the periods throughout history, I think there can be lessons learned if we take a mature approach to the situation. Honest discussions about our history will bring us closer together. It'll heal old wounds. Talking brings healing and understanding. There are polls referenced by Eric Foner in his article, Civil War in Post-Racial America, and they show that a majority of Americans do identify issues other than slavery, such as tariffs and states' rights, to be the cause of the Civil War fundamentally. However, as we've all seen, cable news is quick to report whenever there's a movement to move a monument or to sandblast Stone Mountain just to appease a minority who only want to focus on the issue of slavery without researching and knowing the other facts about things. I think open discussion also makes us aware of our accomplishments as a people. One cannot simply delete history if it's sensitive or unpleasant. If we start down that path, I ask how long it'll be before other things are erased from history books, such as entire religions that might be offensive to people, entire political parties that don't think the way everyone else thinks, or races of people, like I spoke about earlier about Nazi Germany. While unpleasant events such as slavery in America or Auschwitz in Germany may be low points in human history, I believe they can serve to inspire us as how far we have come as a people since those events took place. As you well know, every day there seems to be some new form of censorship, some new subject that's been deemed offensive by the people. Most people just shrug it off because either it doesn't relate to them or it's only a small minority that's getting offended. But I fear that by the time the human race realizes their ability to express disapproval has been stifled, it's going to be too late. So in closing, I'd just like to pose this question to you. Most of us all try and live a good life so that we leave those memories with our children and our grandchildren. So I pose this question to you to think about. Do you want future generations to rewrite or distort the events of your life? Thank you.